Hello, delicious superhumans. How are you?
Beautiful.
Welcome. So good to see you there on the screen, Elisha. Love having you join us this afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world, for our next speaker at the Superhuman Summit. And this is the energy series. It's all about energy. And so, our beautiful speakers so far have talked about a really wide range of how we use energy in our life and how energy shows up and ways we can actually manage our state and handle our energy. And we're going to go to something a little bit different right now. And you can see Elisha here with her very cool headphones on and her big microphone. And that's because this delicious guest, Elisha Xantaya, is going to talk to us about sound as medicine and how we can discover our own soul song and some of the ways that we can use sound, and maybe not like you've always thought, not just music, but sound, how we can use that to restore our energy, to uplift our energy, to share our energy with the planet, with each other, with the world. So, if you don't mind, I'm going to just spend a moment or so introducing this delicious human. I'm, of course, one of your co hosts, Alexandra Joy, and you've already met my other co host earlier, Michelle Crawford. And together we are Human Power. And we love doing things like this and bringing these kind of speakers to the world for free so that you can take what you need on for your life and to support your energy. And today, Elisha is someone who I've had the pleasure of experiencing her work firsthand several times now at full moon sound healings. I've been to some Dreamweavers Rising events out in the bush and all sorts of experiences where I've got to feel the presence that not only she has, but what comes through her has. So, Alicia, I know you started out your career in the army and that you were
I did.
7 years, I think, as an engineering
Yes,
officer in the New Zealand Army. And
that's right.
I've also seen you chop wood and carry water and do things on the property. And you have some big guns on you there. So I don't know if that's from the army days. Um, but you've also been a bit of a graphic designer, and I know whenever I see your sound healings or wild song kind of being promoted, it always looks so beautiful and appealing as well. So I guess that's your creative designer eye. But
Mm.
now today you use sound as a vehicle for healing and helping people, I guess, find freedom through the expression of sound and through moving their cell structure through sound. Maybe you can go back and tell us a bit about, from the army to a sound healer is a little bit of a jump. So tell us a bit about what led you into working with sound in the first place.
Well, when I left the army, I had a period of really, really deep anxiety, and my body was telling me things that I didn't actually know how to listen to. So, fast forward maybe another 5 years, and I was working in the Queensland mines blasting. And during that
Mm.
period, I had a quite a traumatic situation um, where I had to learn how to be present at work and in that environment that was quite stressful and bring peace into my own body. And it was at that time that I understood how much of my power I had given away by not actually speaking up for myself, how much of my power I'd
Wow.
given away by requiring validation from other people. So I'd really lost my voice. I'd lost my
Mm.
confidence. And during that time of that 6 months that I was working with that crew, I started to use sound every day after work. I would go for a walk in the forest.
Yeah.
Something that a friend's mother of mine had shown me when I was a little girl was toning. And I remembered,
Mm.
so I started to use different tones in the different chakra points. I didn't know there were chakra points at that time um, of my body, and the release of tension and the peace that came into my mind was something really new and powerful for me. And
Mm.
that was the
Well, and
first
our,
kind of
our last
inkling.
speaker, Katerina, was just talking about the chakras as well. So interesting that you're going there already. I'm curious, how did you know that you needed to do something when you were in that situation at the mines and in that crew? Because lots of people listening and watching might be in a business or in a culture that doesn't sit right with them. How did you know what you needed to do and that you needed to do something?
Well, first of all, I knew that nature was always my go to for a reset. As soon as I get
Hmm.
into the forest, even if I just have the opportunity to be with a plant or a flower or a tree, I have this, and we all have this innate connection to the life force that is nature. It's the same life force that flows through our body. And I knew I needed to be in nature. And, you know, when you're feeling some really intense emotion and you feel like screaming, there's a reason for that. So that noise,
Yeah.
that sound is actually a release of energy and electrical charge from the body. So
Mm.
intuitively, I probably started by screaming in the forest, to be honest. And then when I felt the release of what was in my body, I it reminded me of the toning that my friend's mother had done in New Zealand,
Mm.
and I just started playing with it. I intuitively let my body guide me um, into certain areas where I knew that there was a real stuck feeling. And that's actually
Mm.
how I guide clients now through the biofield tuning sessions or the resonance sessions that I do, is is to show people how to access the area in their body where they're feeling something and give it a voice. And it keeps
Mm.
surprising me how profound that is for the healing of our physical body as well as our mental state. Mm.
It's interesting because when I first came across your work, I'd been to sound healing sessions before where it was more just gongs or crystal bowls. And what I loved about your work is there's so much that's actually your own voice and your own sounds. And I think a lot of people go, but I can't sing. And what I loved about a lot of your work is it's these real innate guttural almost animal sounds, and that sometimes it's not necessarily singing. And I've heard you sing and perform and you've got a beautiful voice, but you're tapping into something different. So what about
Mm.
people out there that are afraid, that to let out their own voice? Maybe they sing in the
Mm.
car, but what if people are afraid to sing? How might this support them?
Well, there's two things that mind straight away. And the first one is that everybody's sound is unique for a reason. We're not meant to sound like someone else. It's why we have a unique fingerprint. All of the information that transcends our mind's analysis or even our own intelligence, all of the information that comes through the sound comes from your resonance, your own heart's and soul resonance. That's a whole nother video series. Um, so when you give yourself permission to listen deeply and allow whatever sounds to come out that want to come out, it will start to guide you. And what happens when I allow myself to be an open conduit, first of all, I had to get over how weird that seemed coming from a very disciplined, structured background. It took a long time to get out of my own way. Um,
Yeah.
is that there's so many sounds that want to come through us that uh, are quite profoundly healing for another person. And until you
Mm.
experience this with somebody else, it's quite hard to put into words what is translated through the sound. So the
Mm.
first one is get out of your own way and trust whatever wants to come through. And the second one is it's actually not about singing. So if you
Mm.
think you can't sing, every single sound you make has a resonance. When I'm speaking, I have a resonance. So what I share with
Mhm.
people is if they want to start playing with sound and understanding how to actually explore the full range, is we do it through the vowels. So you might have a song on in the car, like your favorite song, and there might be a little instrumental bit. And so I'll just start making vowel sounds. So it might just start with a e o e o e o e o e, or it might be as simple as oh mo mo. So learning your voice is actually not about singing; it's about playing.
Mm.
It's about letting yourself play as if you were still 3 years old and you didn't give a shit what anyone thinks. It's giving
Yes.
yourself permission to be silly. And in that is so much wisdom comes through our body, our being, our intuition.
Mm.
So what I take people through in the wild song sessions that I run is learning how to tone, and we start with a deep belly sound. So it might just be an ah or an o. We just start with vowels, really really simple. And 3 minutes of doing a tone into the belly like this. You might all want to take a deep breath with me. And just noticing how that feels in your body.
My
That's the
dog just
first.
reacted to that straight away. He's like, "Oh, what's going on?"
It's really quite something special when you connect with your own voice and you give it an outlet. So yeah, that's
So,
a
given we can all get caught in our heads, right, and stuck up in thinking about things, why don't you take us through some kind of exercise or something? I'll mute myself so we can hear you, and we recommend people follow along at home, or maybe you can just get us into our body first before we
sure.
get to in our heads.
Okay. All right. So let's just wherever you are, just find a space where you can be still for a moment, and just let your awareness sink down to the ground, as if there was a plug on the base of your spine or your feet. And as you inhale, just collect everything from your body that you feel like releasing. And in your long exhale, just let it all empty down through that plug hole and into the soil. And again, taking in a deep breath, letting all your thoughts and feelings empty out of that drain pipe into the soil. So, starting with the lowest tone you can make, we'll do an ooh sound. And so, just keeping your posture upright, let your ribs sit off your diaphragm. Pause at the top of your breath, and then just allow whatever sound wants to come out, empty into the soil as you do the out tone. And just notice the vibration in your body. So, here we go. Nice long breath in. And again, another nice long breath in, pausing at the top, as if you're at the dentist. We're going to do 2 more of these. And then just get a little bit playful on this last one. There's no rules to how this works. And then just take a moment to close your eyes and feel inside your body. Notice any space that might have been there that wasn't there before you made your tone. You might notice that there's a little bit more space in your mind, might feel a little bit more grounded. And you might have noticed the vibration or the resonance that happens inside your body when you make that tone. So, what I encourage people to do is do that for 10 minutes. Try it
Mm.
tonight or tomorrow morning. And um, after a while, you'll start to feel like you're in a really almost hypnotic meditation. You'll feel super connected to nature and the earth, even if you do this inside your house.
Yeah.
Any tension or stress or anxiety will disappear within a few minutes. Um, and I encourage people as the third principle, posture, breath, is play. So, you know, I encourage the ugly face, and the ugly face helps us get outside our people pleasing brain, the appropriate, polite, um, yeah, the part of us that stopped being silly and having fun. So I kind of do the like, when I'm making all those low sounds, just let your face make all these different expressions that you've never made before. It feels silly, but it's also quite liberating.
Yeah.
So
I have a
those are just
client
some
that I do an ugly selfie with every day, so I'm used to pulling funny faces.
beautiful.
But I
Yeah,
haven't
it's
been
just
making sound. I need to
so
make sound
liberating.
with it.
Yeah, so it actually can guide your sound. And I'm just going to throw it out
Mm.
there and be a total idiot on screen for a moment and
Great.
just give you a little example of how ugly face can guide your sound. So if I was to be a forest gremlin, for example, it might go like this. So imagine if I'm walking through a forest with a 3-year-old child who has, is fully tapped into their imagination. What they're seeing when they're walking around is all of those different critters in the forest that have all these different sounds and personalities. And I just think there's
Mm.
something really special about being able to access the innocence that we all have at our core that is playful.
Yeah,
Mm. So wild songs really
absolutely.
about the unseriousness of the essence of who we are and getting outside
Mm.
the rigid structure of our the accumulation of our programming, how we should be, what success looks like, all the ways that we actually lose our creative expression.
Mm.
So
So
that's the other
there
part
was a
of the
couple
wild
of
song.
things that you've mentioned that came up for me, if I can
Mhm.
ask a couple of questions. And I just want to remind everyone talking, and hello, Noshi, hello, the guys from Human Power, Michelle, and people who've been commenting. So feel free to pop your questions down so that I can make sure we get those answered by Alicia. And if
Yeah,
you're watching
I'd
for the
love to answer
replay,
any
please do
questions you have.
hashtag replay. Um, but you mentioned the biofield, and I think
Mm.
it would be great if you could explain a bit about the biofield and also how does our body get out of tune? Because you kind of hinted at that, and so I'm like curious about how, can we get in tune and out of tune, and what's the biofield?
Mm. So the biofield is a term that's actually used by one of my favorite sound mentors, Eileen McCusick, and she wrote the book Tuning the Biofield, and she's actually one of the leaders in vibrational healing science at the moment. And our biofield is the the energy field around us. That is our electromagnetic flow of energy through the body. This is not new information. This is ancient. It's through all the Vedic traditions. It's in Chinese and Japanese traditional medicine. It's the flow of electricity that moves through our body that is at the base level of every cell. So, tuning our biofield is tuning the frequency or the resonance that can get out of tune when we are stressed, when we have
Mm.
disconnected from nature, when we're not grounded. So our brain emits an electromagnetic pulse that is um, can be measured and detected by medical devices, actually outside our body, into the field around us. And Eileen McCusick talks about a membrane, which is the edge of our energy field. So the beautiful thing about our energy field is that our heart resonance is actually something like 60 60,000 times stronger than our brain resonance, the magnetic field. So
Yeah.
it this constant electrical pulse that is our heart reverberates into every cell of our body. And when something happens that creates stress in our life, the conduit, the actual conduit of the electrical flow through our body has resistance. It's literally like an electrical circuit when there's a resistor and then there's less flow of energy. So tuning our field is like tuning a radio station. And it's in the field, it's invisible, it's around us all the time. It's why we can receive a message on our cell phone from the other side of the world. These waves are moving in and around our field all the time. And they're also affecting our field. So we have a natural harmonic resonance or balance that is our homeostatic, um, like default factory setting. And when that gets out of tune, dis-ease enters the body, or starts to be created in the body, and it's simply a stagnant flow of energy, or an area of the body where there's resistance, and that can happen um, through trauma and through pain, through an accident, through a motorcycle crash, through a belief that was created in our value system from 2 years old, 3 years old. It can happen in utero.
Mm.
There's just
Mm.
there's so many ways that the frequency, the actual chemical and vibrational frequency of our thought and feeling becomes like a feedback loop in the body. So
And
it
so, are
just
you saying that sound can help clear those blockages, or from a medical terminology, it might be ischemic cells, cells where the blood isn't flowing right? Is that where sound through this biofield can help either move that energy, shift it, unblock things?
yeah, exactly. And the medical the me- all of the research that's being done currently around harmonic resonance, even what Eileen McCusick is doing with tuning forks, she's really bringing some medical research through her work that is showing that a frequency or resonance that is created in or around the body in particular areas in specific ways is unblocking that energy and allowing it to flow again through the body. So there's a number of um, amazing scientists that are using measured medical experiments to show that things like tuning forks, like mantra
Mm.
and singing, um, and dual frequency, there's something called a directed ultrasound machine that is actually been proven to cure some disease in the body that is, some of them have been incurable, and some are very much they just seem miraculous, the way that sound is being proven now in the scientific world to be bringing disease back into the harmonic resonance of the body. And singing and sound is a part of every single culture in the world. It is foundational to every indigenous culture and every one of our own ancestral
Absolutely.
lineages. So when we sing, it's like using our own natural sound healing device to bring our body into resonance. And our cells actually pick up that vibration faster than they pick up a chemical signal. So on the outside of every one of
Wow.
our cells, there's hundreds of little antennae, and they're receptors that take the information from a vibration as well as from a chemical, and the receptor takes the information and creates a chemical rebalance inside the cell itself. So these little
Wow.
membrane vibration, and they're shifting accordingly to the information that they're receiving.
The
Pretty
speed of
fascinating,
sound, right?
right?
It's amazing. And I know right. I've seen research about some Tibetan monks that had been meditators for their whole life, and that the resonance of their heart, where most people's can be just measured a couple of meters outside their body, the resonance of these monks' hearts could be measured for kilometers, because they'd done so much meditation and a lot of mantra, chanting and mantra every day, that you could actually pick up their signal, from a couple of kilometers away. That's how powerful their hearts had become. We're getting some questions. I know Dee's saying that she's loving the energy in the session. Now, Noshi's asking a few particularly, I guess, specific questions, which is, are there sounds that can unblock his sinuses? And also, are there sounds that unleash negativity? And I think your little gremlin faces before was one of those, perhaps. But do you have any tips for that along the way, or do you want to move into the next?
What do you mean? I'm
Yeah.
happy to answer those questions. Yeah. So what was the first one? Oh, sinuses. So I would
Sinuses.
recommend Noshi to take the time to do the toning that that I just showed you before into the lower areas of the body, and then let your resonance come up until you can feel like it's sitting around this level of the body. And all I do is I guide people to do a siren upwards. So it goes, and you'll actually feel when the vibration leaves your body, like it's literally, you can feel it underneath your hands, and it moves up into your head voice. When you do a toning in this level, this kind of band width of your head, and you do that for 10 minutes, I would encourage you to just sit on the earth and do that and see what happens. And let that sound move whatever energy needs moving in that part of your body. And I'd be really interested to know what you experience with that. I haven't specifically done anything to unblock my sinuses with sound, but I'd be really interested to know what happens.
Yeah, awesome. And the other one was unleashing or getting rid of negativity. I'm assuming you meant by that, Nosh. Correct me if I'm wrong. As opposed to unleash, that you want to, not unleash your power and become
Unleash
negative, but you're
sorry,
wanting to
negative on the
release.
world.
Yes,
I'm going
he's
to work
saying yes.
with release. And sounds that release negativity are all those really guttural sounds. In Qigong, there's a particular sound that's used called a dragon's breath. And there's a specific move that I was shown by a friend of mine who's been studying some Qigong, where you actually come up onto your toes and you take your arms out wide. So you're opening up your whole field. And this is what the dragon breath sounds like, just for you, Noshi. And that concept is also used in yogic practices to allow that
Yes.
negative energy to come out of breath. And there's something about releasing the tongue out of the mouth. And I have no idea what that is. I have no idea how to speak about that scientifically, but there's also another two things that
So
are really
it is
useful.
used in yoga. So you do lion's breath a lot, and particularly on downward poses or any poses where it's actually squashing the stomach region or those middle chakras. And so, you'll release when your stomach's being squeezed, because that's where all the toxins lie. And so that's releasing them and letting them out. And part of the reason for opening the mouth and the nose is because they have little tiny cleansing nodes on them, and so as the breath goes over, it's cleaning all of that muck out of you. So the breath of fire is very, very powerful.
Yep. I was going to say also that intuitively, whenever I've allowed the negativity to actually make its own sound, whether that's driving in the car with my windows up and
Mm.
just letting whatever sound wants to come out, or if I can't make sound, there's actually a silent scream that you can do, which is
Mm.
really interesting in the energy field as well. I won't go too much into that because I like making sound.
Yeah, cool. So we've got like 10 or 12 minutes left to really get into this. Do you want to share some other sounds or tonings or things that we can do, or some things for us to experience?
Do you mean before I do the sound bath?
Anything, whatever you think.
Okay. Um, what I what I would like to share as, I guess, a second way of exploring our own sounds in our body from the toning is to do an experiment where you bring yourself into the presence of your body. So, sound is really about learning how to listen and reconnect with the wisdom that is the intelligence of our body that knows how to mend its bones. So, your
Mm.
body will guide you when you give it the space and the time to actually sit and listen. So, I would encourage or maybe we can actually go through this and we'll move into some higher bands of the body and have some playtime. So let's move into the heart resonance. We'll do some toning around the heart space before I move into the sound bath. So
Mhm.
the heart resonance, if you come from the lower tone, if you have your hand on your chest, you'll feel where the vibration in your body starts to move up into your head and you can't feel it underneath your hand anymore. So let's just do that together. Do the siren from low up until you actually lose the vibration from underneath your hand, and then come back down so that it sits kind of around your collarbones, your heart area. So deep breath in. And when you find the area that loses vibration and then you come back down again, then you're sitting in this bandwidth of your body, kind of the heart, the shoulders, the lungs, of the respiratory area. So we'll just play in this space for a couple of minutes. And let's start with an R syllable. I like using the syllable yum because it kind of has like that which is different to the ah. Yeah. So we'll play with that for a couple of tones, maybe 3 tones. And then I'm going to encourage you just to get your 3-year-old child, like the silliness out from within you, and just play with lots of different vowels and syllables and animal noises, whatever sort of comes to mind that feels a little bit lighthearted. Then you can go up and down from that range if you want. So a couple of minutes of playing with this one. So again, nice deep breath. Just let it empty first. And then let's come into this collarbone area. Yeah. Take your time with your in breath. Yeah. Notice how the vibration feels in this part of your body. Yeah. And then start to just take it a little bit higher and a little bit lower and bring some different syllables in. You can make the funny faces too. One more nice long tone and have a good play around in that part of your body. Kind of let your body loosen up a little bit.
I was just going to say, I keep wanting to rock as I do it.
Yeah. And that's perfect. If you intuitively want to move when you make sound, it's
I
because your
want to
body
move.
actually wants to open the fascia so the sound can get through to all the extended places.
Oh.
You froze on a really funny screen, AJ. That's good. So that's just a little taster for you to explore if you want to in your own time. All the different ways that sound can be made in your body. When you extend your muscles, you're actually opening up the fascia and letting it unravel from all the stress and like the web that happens when we have tension in our mind and our body. So I encourage you to, if you start doing the sound and your body wants to move, just let it move however it wants to.
So it's kind of like having an internal massage, isn't it? It's like having a massage from the inside out. I see how great this would be if you did it with kids as well, because they can really play with sound. So it'd be a great thing to do with kids when they've got anxiety or nerves or tension.
And if you're watching this and you have a child who has a little bit of stress, then I would just recommend taking them through that toning and let them make some animal noises. Really simple.
Mm.
So,
All right. So we've only got
I can
5-6
share some
minutes
sound.
left.
Okay.
Hand over to you for a bit of sound bath, shall we?
All right. Just going to change up this sound slightly for a bit of extra. All right. So I'm going to start with a little bit of drum. So just notice where you feel the resonance of this in your body. And I invite you to find a space where you can be still and lie down if you can, or just close your eyes down. Taking a nice deep breath from the soil all the way up through your body to the top of your head. I'm going to move into the resonance of the crystal bowls. And just notice the difference in the feeling inside your body. So you can take a deep breath and open your eyes if you feel to. You're welcome, Noshi. It's really joyful for me singing with these bowls and with my drum.
Oh, there aren't many words left to say once you've felt that and experienced that, other than bless you, thank you. I think your connection to Mother Nature and to Earth and the universe really comes through. Your ancestral line or whatever's coming through is really deeply resonant there. And we're so glad that you've shared your gifts today as part of the energy series of the summit. To kind of wrap up, how can people find out more about Wild Song and your sound healings?
So the link actually is down below there, which is really handy. And you can join me at Wild Song Quests is my Facebook page, and it's also my Instagram. And then all of the information of my one-to-one resonance healing sessions, the Wild Song retreats, the online courses that I've got coming up, and the weekly sessions that we're doing, the free sessions, all of that information is at my website, which is xantaya.com, Xantaya. I'm
And you can
about
see
to
that
send out.
scrolling below.
Oh, yeah, that's really handy. I'm about to send out a sound meditation, which I'm just about to finish, which is probably the coolest thing I've ever done with sound, which is really exciting. So I'm going to send that out to my email crew in the next week. So if you would like to receive that, then just get in touch and flick me an email, and I'll send the rest of the information out.
Beautiful. And so, for everyone also watching, if you've loved this experience and you want to go deeper into sound, as well as we've already talked to people about Reiki, we've talked about NLP, we've talked about all sorts of things that help make us superhuman and help us manage our energy in this crazy world, then we have the superhuman experience coming up. So Michelle and I are offering the superhuman experience. You can see more about that below. Starts on 3rd of May. And if you're on over this summit period for the 3 days, you get a $250 discount. So make sure you jump onto that. It's completely online and it's live. So you get to be part of a community to have more of this kind of experience, to really immerse deeply into the quantum field or this quantum sound soup, and really to go into who am I and what am I doing here on this planet and how can I manage this state and energy better. Sound is one of the ways you can do that. And thank you so much today, Elisha, for talking to us about sound as medicine and discovering our own soul sound. I'm sure people are already feeling the tingles like I am from that little sound bath, and also practicing some toning. So many blessings to you. Safe travels as you continue
Thank
on your
you again,
travels.
Michelle. Mm.
So thanks to everyone. Stay tuned. Our very next speakers, Shell and Xavier King, are up next in just 10 minutes. So stay online, maybe have a wee break, and then pop back online for our next exciting session. And we're going to be talking all about some interesting things with them, from Reiki to meditation to tattoos. So stay tuned.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Namaste.